What if the difference between a successful pregnancy and a negative test um, came down to eating exactly 2 handfuls of walnuts a day for 12 weeks?
I know, it sounds completely made up.
It really does. It
Yeah.
sounds like an internet rumor. But, well, there is hard biological science behind it.
There absolutely is.
Because, think about it like building a house. If you were trying to build a house, you wouldn't use like rotten wood or crumbling bricks.
Right, or rusted nails.
Exactly. You'd want the highest quality raw materials you could possibly get your hands on, just to make sure that structure actually stands the test of time.
It's just common sense for architecture.
Yeah, but we so rarely apply that same logic to our own biology. So, welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at a really fascinating guide from the Berkley Center for Reproductive Wellness.
It's a great resource.
It is. It's called Fertility on Your Plate: Nutritional Strategies for Reproductive Wellness. And our mission today is to, well, decode the exact science of how specific foods can literally change your reproductive environment.
And we are asking a pretty big question here.
We are. What if the most powerful tool in your fertility toolkit isn't just found at the pharmacy, but it's right there in your kitchen?
It is such a profound shift in perspective. And, that architectural analogy you just used is spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the source material is very clear. Food is not some magical overnight cure-all, but it is quite literally medicine.
Right.
It provides the exact raw materials your body uses to build healthy cells. So whether you are trying to conceive naturally or you're going through assisted reproduction like IVF or IUI.
The food dictates the environment.
Exactly. It dictates whether you are building a resilient, highly receptive reproductive environment or a hostile, inflamed one.
It's just wild to think about food at that microscopic level.
Yeah.
And the Berkley Center, they see this every day in their practice.
They do, yeah.
When people shift the way they eat, they see better cycles, improved lab results, and higher pregnancy rates. So we're going to look at the why behind this.
Keep the science honest, but translate it so it makes sense.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this starting with the foundation. The source outlines a core approach for almost all reproductive conditions, which is basically an anti-inflammatory Mediterranean-style diet.
Which is pretty standard advice, generally speaking.
Right. Lots of colorful plants, healthy fats like omega-3s, fiber, lean proteins, and, minimizing ultra-processed foods.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, because we hear the word inflammation thrown around all the time.
Oh, constantly.
It feels like a wellness buzzword. So if someone has a serious diagnosed reproductive condition, is eating a Mediterranean diet just like throwing a cup of water on a house fire?
That's a fair question, but if we connect this to the bigger picture, it is absolutely a systemic fire hose.
Okay, a fire hose.
But it's a slow, steady one. To really understand why it works, we have to look at what chronic low-grade inflammation actually is.
Which is what?
Well, think of it like your body's cellular alarm system being jammed in the on position.
So the body thinks it's constantly under attack.
Exactly. Your immune system is just constantly releasing inflammatory chemicals into your bloodstream. And when those chemicals are floating around, they disrupt hormone signaling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they physically damage cells. Chronic inflammation and oxidative stress are the common threads running through almost every fertility struggle we're going to discuss today.
So the diet acts as a baseline.
Right. The Mediterranean diet works because it actively shuts off those biological alarms.
How, though? Like, mechanically, what is a piece of salmon actually doing to an alarm system?
That is the best part. It's not just healthy in some vague sense. Omega-3 fatty acids, which you get from that salmon, actually embed themselves into the walls of your cells.
Wait, literally into the cell walls?
Literally. And when they do that, they produce specialized molecules that signal your immune system to stand down.
That's crazy.
They chemically intervene to stop your immune system from attacking your own tissues. So over time, by eating this way, you are cooling the systemic fire and allowing the reproductive organs to function without being under constant siege.
That makes the food as medicine idea so much more concrete. You're giving your cells the off switch for the alarm.
Precisely.
Which brings us to how this general anti-inflammatory blueprint adapts for specific hormonal conditions. Let's look at PCOS, or polycystic ovary syndrome.
A very common one.
Yeah, and the guide explains this involves insulin resistance, irregular ovulation, and higher androgens.
Right. Androgens are male hormones like testosterone, which women naturally have, of course.
But in PCOS, they get elevated. Right?
Yes, they get elevated and disrupt the whole system. So the overarching nutritional goal for PCOS is stable blood sugar.
Right, and I'm looking at this list of recommended foods for PCOS from the source,
Hmm.
and I'm honestly a little confused.
Oh.
I mean, I understand the fatty fish, the leafy greens, the fiber slows down sugar absorption. I get the berries and legumes, but then I saw dairy.
Ah, yes, the dairy recommendation.
Every wellness blog on the internet says to cut dairy immediately if you have hormonal issues. But this guide is telling me that full-fat dairy is on the nice list for PCOS. Is that a typo?
It is surprising, isn't it? But no, it's definitely not a typo,
Right.
really. And it perfectly highlights why individualized nutrition is so much better than, blanket internet diet rules. The evidence actually shows that moderate full-fat dairy can support ovulation specifically in women with PCOS.
But why? How does that work?
It comes down to how the fat in the dairy affects your blood sugar and hormone absorption.
So why is full fat better than skim milk? Skim milk has fewer calories. Wouldn't that just be better?
Not for PCOS. When you remove the fat to make skim milk, the natural milk sugars are left totally exposed.
Oh, I see.
So when you drink it, those sugars hit your bloodstream incredibly fast, which causes a massive spike in insulin.
And for PCOS, insulin spikes are the ultimate enemy.
Right, exactly. High insulin acts as a trigger on the ovaries, commanding them to produce more of those androgens, the testosterone we mentioned.
Which halts ovulation.
You got it. When testosterone spikes, ovulation halts.
Wow. So the fat in the milk is actually acting as a buffer, like to slow down the sugar.
Yes, keeping the insulin quiet so the ovaries can do their normal job.
You are using fat as a biological speed bump. That is fascinating.
It really is. And alongside this, the source heavily emphasizes foods rich in a compound called inositol.
Okay, what exactly is inositol? I mean, I've seen it on supplement bottles, but what does it actually do?
Well, inositol is essentially a type of natural sugar that your body uses to help cells listen to insulin better.
Listen better.
Yeah, think of insulin resistance like your cells having rusty locks. Insulin is knocking, but the doors won't open.
So your body just pumps out more and more insulin.
Exactly. Inositol helps lubricate those locks, so to speak. You can find it naturally in things like beans, fruits, and nuts.
And that improves the sensitivity.
Right. It improves insulin sensitivity and helps restore regular cycles. It's all about keeping that macro environment stable.
Okay, so for PCOS, food is acting like a buffer against sugar spikes. But the guide shifts gears entirely when talking about endometriosis.
Yes, completely different mechanism.
Because endometriosis is an estrogen-sensitive, highly inflammatory condition. So the goal isn't just managing blood sugar, it's lowering pain and clearing out excess estrogen.
Yes, and the dietary strategy reflects that completely different goal. You still want the omega-3s from fatty fish and walnuts, but for a very specific reason here.
What's the reason?
Endometriosis pain and lesion growth are driven by compounds called prostaglandins.
Prostaglandins, are those the chemical messengers that cause cramps?
Yes, they cause inflammation and uterine contractions. What's fascinating is that omega-3s literally swap out the building blocks your body uses to make those messengers.
So they change the messengers themselves.
Exactly, resulting in less aggressive, less painful prostaglandins. There is strong animal and human data showing this can reduce endometrial lesions.
That's incredible.
But for endometriosis, the absolute superstars on the plate are fiber and cruciferous vegetables. Things like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and cabbage.
And the mechanism here is so cool. I want to make sure I have this right. The liver processes excess estrogen and dumps it into the gut to be removed from the body.
Right, that's the normal detox pathway.
But if you don't have enough fiber in your gut, your body will just unpackage that estrogen and reabsorb it right back into the bloodstream.
Which then travels back and feeds the endometriosis, yes.
So fiber essentially acts like a biological garbage truck in your digestive tract.
That is a fantastic way to visualize it.
If you eat your broccoli, that fiber acts as a sponge, soaking up and trapping that excess estrogen so it gets fully eliminated. If you skip the fiber, the garbage truck never arrives.
And the estrogen gets recycled. You are physically removing the fuel that feeds the condition.
Wow. And they also mention vitamin D for endometriosis, right?
They do.
Yeah.
Whether you get it from fortified foods, egg yolks, or just sensible sun exposure, vitamin D acts almost like a hormone itself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it has direct, targeted anti-inflammatory effects on the reproductive tract.
So we are balancing this macro environment. We're buffering the blood sugar. We're trapping the circulating hormones. But the source material doesn't stop there.
No, it goes much deeper.
It dives deep into the microscopic cellular level, specifically the eggs themselves, which brings us to advanced maternal age and egg quality.
Very stressful topic for a lot of people.
Definitely. We know egg quality declines as we get older, and the source explains this is largely due to mitochondrial dysfunction and oxidative damage inside the egg.
Yes, mitochondria are the microscopic powerhouses inside our cells. And a human egg requires a massive amount of energy to successfully mature, fertilize, and divide into an embryo.
So it's heavily energy dependent.
Highly intensive. As we age, those mitochondrial batteries get tired and they suffer wear and tear from free radicals.
And free radicals are those unstable molecules bouncing around damaging DNA.
Exactly.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because women are born with all the eggs they will ever have, right? So if an egg has been sitting in the ovaries for 35 or 40 years, how does eating a bowl of spinach today actually help? Are we trying to somehow upgrade the biological hardware of a 40-year-old egg?
What's fascinating here is that we aren't upgrading the hardware and we aren't reversing time. You cannot change your biological age.
Okay.
But an egg doesn't just sit fully formed and then drop. In the 3 to 4 months before an egg is released, it undergoes a massive maturation phase.
Wait, it takes months.
Yes. It wakes up from dormancy and starts soaking up nutrients from the fluid surrounding it. That is your window of opportunity.
So you can influence it right before it's released.
Precisely. You are feeding the mitochondria and protecting the hardware right when the egg needs it most.
So what exactly are we feeling it during that window?
A nutrient called CoQ10. It is a critical component that mitochondria use to generate energy. You find it in organ meats, fatty fish, spinach, and cauliflower.
And our natural levels drop as we age, right?
They do. By eating it, you are replenishing the fluid around the egg, giving it the battery power it needs to divide correctly without chromosomal errors.
That makes total sense.
At the same time, you want antioxidant powerhouses like pomegranate, citrus, and berries.
To deal with those free radicals?
Exactly. The antioxidants act as a chemical shield. They neutralize the free radicals before they can pierce the egg's outer layer and damage the DNA inside.
And the proof is in the research. The Berkley Center guide cites a landmark 2012 mouse study by Nera and colleagues.
A very famous study.
They took older mice, essentially mice at advanced maternal age, and fed them a lifelong omega-3 rich diet. And it didn't just help a little, it prolonged their reproductive lifespan and drastically improved their egg quality.
And human data backs this up entirely. Higher omega-3 status leads to better egg quality and better pregnancy rates.
It is incredibly empowering. It proves that age-related decline isn't just like an inevitable cliff you fall off.
Right. The environment you provide for the eggs during that maturation window matters immensely. The source notes that short-term improvements are realistic even in the months right before an IVF retrieval.
You don't need a time machine, you just need nutrient density.
Well said.
Okay, so we've been talking about eggs as these ancient batteries that wake up and need protecting. But male fertility is the exact opposite. It's a constantly running 90-day assembly line.
Yes, a totally different biological process.
And that completely changes the nutritional strategy. It takes two to tango, and the male equation requires serious attention.
It is so often overlooked, but it represents half the biological puzzle. Oxidative stress, those same free radicals bouncing around, is a major cause of sperm anomalies.
So it damages them just like the eggs.
Exactly. It causes DNA fragmentation, it causes poor motility, meaning how well the sperm can swim, and abnormal morphology, which is their physical shape.
And the source outlines exactly what men need to put on the plate to build resilient sperm.
It does.
Oysters and pumpkin seeds are huge because of the zinc, which is an essential mineral for testosterone production and actually creating the sperm cells. Tomatoes give you lycopene, citrus gives you vitamin C.
All crucial building blocks.
But the study that completely blew my mind was the walnut RCT, a randomized controlled trial. Men who ate 75 grams of walnuts a day, which is about 2 handfuls, saw significant improvements in sperm vitality, motility, and shape.
It's a fantastic study.
But the study tracked them for exactly 12 weeks.
Okay.
Why 12? Is that just a standard trial length? Or does that timeline mean something biologically?
The 12-week time frame is entirely dictated by the male biology. Spermatogenesis, the process of a germ cell developing into a fully mature sperm, takes roughly 74 to 90 days.
Oh, okay.
That is about 2.5 to 3 months. So when a man changes his diet or starts eating 2 handfuls of walnuts a day, he is not instantly upgrading the mature sperm that are ready to go today.
Because those are already built.
Exactly.
So you were changing the raw materials at the start of the assembly line.
You've got it. He is providing premium building blocks for the new batch of sperm that are just beginning their life cycle. You literally have to wait for that new batch to be built from scratch and travel through the reproductive tract.
That makes the 12 weeks make perfect sense.
Right. And walnuts are incredible for this because they are packed with plant-based omega-3s and vitamin E.
Which goes back to the cell walls, right?
Yes. Sperm need highly fluid, flexible membranes to swim effectively and to penetrate an egg. The omega-3s in walnuts physically build that flexibility into the sperm's tail and head.
Oh, the vitamin E.
It protects the DNA cargo inside from fragmenting while it travels down the assembly line.
It is so mechanical when you break it down like that.
Yeah.
So we know the 90-day building process for sperm, and we know eggs need months of mitochondrial support before they ovulate. We know what to eat.
We have the blueprint.
But to make this strategy actually work, we have to talk about what needs to come off the plate. Because the Berkley Center highlights specific inflammatory culprits that actively sabotage this whole maturation process.
Yes, the saboteurs. If walnuts and spinach are the premium lumber, these saboteurs are the termites.
The termites, I love that.
They promote insulin spikes, they drive up oxidative stress, and they disrupt hormones. Trans fats and highly processed foods like commercial baked goods, margarines, and fried foods are at the top of the list. They are strongly linked to poorer ovulation and sperm quality.
But how does a trans fat actually sabotage a cell, though?
It goes back to that membrane flexibility we just talked about.
Yeah.
Trans fats have a very straight, rigid chemical structure.
Okay.
When your body is forced to use trans fats to build a cell membrane like a sperm cell, that membrane becomes stiff and rigid like cheap plastic.
Oh, wow.
It loses its fluidity. A sperm with a rigid tail can't swim well, and an egg with a rigid outer layer is harder to fertilize.
That is horrifying, honestly. You are literally building stiff cells.
You are.
Then you have refined sugars and refined carbs. Yeah. White bread, sugary drinks. We already talked about the blood sugar roller coaster and how harmful that is, especially for the insulin locks and PCOS.
Right, Jim's the locks.
The guide also lists processed meats, which are linked to higher endometriosis risk and poor sperm parameters. Excessive alcohol is a huge saboteur because it acts as a cellular toxin,
directly damaging sperm DNA and egg quality.
And lastly, high mercury fish things like swordfish, shark, or king mackerel. Mercury is a heavy metal that disrupts cellular division, so you should avoid those entirely while trying to conceive.
It can sound like a daunting, miserable list of restrictions, I know.
It really can.
But the source material provides a very practical, daily strategy that doesn't require a biochemistry degree. It's actually quite simple.
What's the strategy?
Just visualize your plate. Fill half of it with non-starchy vegetables and fruit. Add a quality lean protein and a healthy fat like olive oil or avocado. Snack on nuts or Greek yogurt instead of processed chips.
That sounds doable.
Limit your caffeine to 1 or 2 cups of coffee a day and use herbs and spices to cook.
But hearing all this, knowing the exact molecular damage a trans fat or a sugar spike can do, I can imagine someone listening and feeling this intense, paralyzing pressure to be perfect.
Oh, absolutely.
If you know that every cell is being built by what you eat over this 90-day window, it's easy to panic. Like, if a listener is 3 weeks into this protocol and they go to a birthday party and have a sugary donut or they have a couple of beers at a wedding, have they totally ruined their cell maturation cycle?
This raises an important question, and it is a trap so many people fall into. The physiological stress of trying to eat perfectly, worrying over every single bite, can sometimes flood your body with cortisol.
Which is the stress hormone.
Yes, and that is just as detrimental as the junk food itself. The Berkley Center's exact phrasing in the text is, "You don't need perfection, aim for progress."
I love that. Aim for progress.
It's crucial. Having one donut does not unravel weeks of cellular repair. It is about the aggregate environment. It's about consistency over those 3 months.
So the body can handle a little blip.
If 80 or 90% of your dietary choices are giving your body those rich, anti-inflammatory, flexible building blocks, your body is resilient enough to handle the occasional spike from a donut. You are not punishing yourself. You are nourishing yourself.
Aim for progress.
Yeah.
That completely changes the mindset. And it's easy to get overwhelmed trying to map all this out alone, which is why the guide points out that personalized support is key.
Definitely.
Because your specific lab work, your diagnosis, your age, it all changes the exact ratio of what you need. In fact, the Berkley Center in New York actually uses this nutritional protocol alongside things like evidence-based acupuncture and herbal medicine.
It's a very comprehensive approach.
They draw on almost 3 decades of experience to help people build these customized plans, whether they are prepping for IVF or trying naturally. They offer consultations so you don't have to guess. You can just have an expert look at your blueprint.
Right. Taking the guesswork out reduces the stress, which lowers the inflammation. It all connects.
It really does. So, to summarize the incredible science we have covered today, food is medicine.
Simple as that.
Whether you are using fiber as a garbage truck to clear the estrogen of endometriosis, or you're using full-fat dairy as a speed bump for insulin and PCOS,
Or feeding an egg's mitochondria with CoQ10.
or fueling a 90-day sperm assembly line with walnuts and zinc, your daily meals are actively shaping your reproductive environment. You are choosing the raw materials for your biological house.
Beautifully said. You are turning off the chronic alarms and giving your cells the exact energy, flexibility, and protection they need to do what they were biologically designed to do.
So what does this all mean? I want to leave you with a final lingering thought built directly on that 90-day maturation timeline we discussed.
It's a powerful concept.
Think about this. If sperm and eggs take roughly 90 days to wake up and fully mature, your body is effectively giving you a blank canvas 4 times a year.
4 fresh starts.
Exactly. You are not stuck with the reproductive environment you had last season. Every single time you sit down to eat, you are quite literally choosing the microscopic building blocks for a cell that will reach its full maturity 3 months from now.
It's an incredible level of control.
Hope isn't just a feeling, as the Berkley Center says. It is something you can literally put on your plate. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you think a little differently about your next meal.